All right, listener name. So picture this. You're outside, relaxing with an iced tea, maybe reading a good book, and your perfectly manicured lawn is, well, maintaining itself. Now stop daydreaming, because this might be closer than you think.
Okay.
We're diving into the world of robotic lawnmowers today, specifically one that's caught our eye on Kickstarter, the ANTHBOT Genie.
Definitely taps into that futuristic dream of a robot butler for your yard, doesn't it?
It totally does. And scrolling through this Kickstarter page, they're not shying away from the tech.
Yeah.
We're talking plug-and-play setup, AI-powered mowing paths, self-mapping your entire yard, even claiming to dodge obstacles like a pro.
Oh, wow.
But before you throw your money at the screen, let's unpack this, see if the reality lives up to these bold claims.
Exactly. And that's where we come in. What's intriguing here is how ANTHBOT is riding several trends at once. You've got the boom in smart home devices, the increasing desire for automation to free up our time, and, well, who wouldn't want their weekends back from endless yard work?
Amen to that. Okay, so they've definitely got our attention with the promise of a robot that mows the lawn for us. But the big question is how? What makes this ANTHBOT Genie different from, your regular old push mower?
It's all about the AI, supposedly.
Yeah.
They're claiming this AI doesn't just follow a preset path. It learns your lawn, adapting to different grass lengths and areas. Imagine, listener name, this thing, knowing the difference between your meticulously trimmed lawn and that patch you'll let grow wild for the bees. That's some next-level yard mapping.
Okay, that's impressive if it actually works. We've all seen those robot vacuum cleaners bumping around a room, getting stuck on every other rug.
Yeah, not exactly the image of seamless automation.
Right, and that's the key question here. Real-world performance, ANTHBOT, seems to be betting big on a user-friendly experience, which they highlight with this plug-and-play setup. The idea is you don't need to be a tech whiz to get this thing up and running.
Makes sense. I mean, the easier it is to use, the more appealing it is to the average person, right? Especially those of us who aren't exactly robotics experts. But how does this ease of use claim hold up against the complexities of, well, AI-powered lawn domination?
That's the million-dollar question. And to be honest, it's a bit of a balancing act. On one hand, you want sophisticated AI to handle the nuances of different lawns, obstacles, changing conditions. But on the other hand, if the interface is clunky or the setup is a nightmare, it's going to end up frustrating users no matter how advanced the tech is. It's like trying to find that sweet spot between, really advanced technology, but also something anyone can use.
Right.
But before we go all in on AI-powered landscaping, let's talk about the company itself.
Yeah.
What do we actually know about ANTHBOT?
That's always the question, isn't it? Especially with crowdfunding. Because a compelling story and a slick website can only get you so far. From what I've gathered, ANTHBOT seems to be relatively new.
Okay.
Their Kickstarter page is definitely big on enthusiasm, like passionate robotics experts, a vision for revolutionizing lawn care, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But hard details, a little harder to come by.
So it's kind of a trust us, we're the experts situation. Not that there's anything wrong with a little bit of that entrepreneurial energy, but listener name. I know you like to do your research, and so do we.
Absolutely. And that's why it's worth looking a little deeper. Going beyond just the marketing buzzwords you see, what's their background? Do they have experience with robotics, AI, development, manufacturing? These are all things that could impact whether they can actually deliver on their promises.
Okay, so we're adding detective work to our to-do list alongside, comparing specs and reading user reviews. But let's say for a moment ANTHBOT totally nails it. The AI works perfectly, the setup is super easy. What would that even mean for the future of our lawns?
It's an interesting thought experiment. On a practical level, it could free up a lot of time and effort for homeowners.
Yeah.
Imagine redirecting all that energy you spend on yard work towards something you actually enjoy.
Okay, that's a future I can get behind. More time for hobbies, relaxing with that iced tea we talked about. But on a larger scale, could this be the start of a major shift? Are we talking robots replacing like those neighborhood landscaping crews?
It's definitely possible. We've seen automation change so many industries, from manufacturing to customer service. So why not lawn care? Something to think about, listener name. What would that mean for the people whose jobs depend on these tasks?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's easy to get excited about new tech, but we can't forget about those potential ripple effects. And speaking of downsides, I know you're big on data privacy. Anything about this AI lawnmower that raises any red flags for you?
It's definitely something to be aware of. Anytime you have a device collecting data about your home, your habits, in this case, the layout of your yard, your mowing schedule, potentially even more, you have to ask, where's all that information going? Who can see
Yeah,
it?
and what are they using it for? Are we going to start getting targeted ads for fertilizer based on how often we mow?
Maybe. It sounds a little crazy now, But as these devices become more common, data privacy is only going to become a bigger and bigger conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I get enough targeted ads as it is. But seriously, this whole data privacy thing adds another layer to the ANTHBOT Genie, doesn't it? It's not just about convenience and cool features anymore. It's about understanding the trade-offs. It's like we're getting a sneak peek into this future where robots take care of everything, but we have to be careful about what we might be giving up for that convenience.
Right.
So, listener name. Let's say you're really interested in this ANTHBOT Genie, but you're also the kind of person who likes to look before they leap. What are some things you can do to figure out if this is the real deal or just another gadget that ends up in the back of the closet?
Well, I'd say start with a good dose of healthy skepticism. Don't believe everything you read on the marketing materials. See if you can find any independent reviews.
Yeah.
Some tech websites might have gotten their hands on a prototype, and those real-world experiences are going to be way more helpful than just a fancy video.
That makes sense. And while you're at it, maybe take a look at the comments section on the Kickstarter page.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those crowdfunding campaigns can be a goldmine for good questions and critiques from potential backers.
Definitely. It's like crowdsourced skepticism, which I love. People asking the tough questions that maybe the creators didn't think about or pointing out potential issues with the design.
It's like having an army of armchair critics combing through every detail. I love that. Okay, so we're thinking critically about the marketing. We're checking out independent reviews. We're tapping into the wisdom of the crowd. What else?
Don't forget to compare. There are already robotic lawnmowers out there, some from big companies, some from smaller startups. See how this ANTHBOT Genie measures up to what's already available? Look at the features, the price, and maybe most importantly, the company's track record.
Because a company that's known for actually delivering what they promise is probably a safer bet than one that's totally brand new, right?
Right. It's not a foolproof system, but it gives you an idea of their credibility.
And hey, speaking of getting the inside scoop, there's no harm in going straight to the source.
Exactly.
A lot of Kickstarter campaigns let you talk directly to the creators. So listener name, if you've got burning questions about things like battery life or how this AI is supposed to handle delicate flower beds, don't be afraid to reach out to ANTHBOT directly.
I think that's great advice.
It's like having your own personal Q&A session, but instead of being in a stuffy conference room, you're relaxing at home, maybe even sipping on that iced tea we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today. We talked about the technology, the trends, even the future of our lawns and what kind of data they might create. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up?
I think the ANTHBOT Genie is really interesting. It gives us a glimpse into how AI and robotics could change our lives. But it's also a good reminder that even the coolest new technology comes with important questions we need to ask ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. You've got the information now. Listener name. Weigh the pros and cons and decide for yourself if a robotic lawnmower is something you want to support. Who knows? Maybe in a few years we'll all be enjoying perfectly manicured lawns thanks to our robot helpers.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive, but we'll be back soon with another look at the most fascinating tech out there. So until then, take care, and we'll catch you next time.